Hey y'all, Devin the Albino Jackass, Old Hickory 2.0 coming up at you here with an episode. We're going to be ranting about the media and Kamala Harris. So, we're just about 3 weeks in, almost a full month in, and Kamala Harris still hasn't done an interview. She hasn't done a press conference, none of that. She is acting as if she is entitled to the presidency, and that should not only offend people, but really, really scare you as well. But by that same token, if we look at the objective state of the race right now, Kamala Harris is leading in the latest polls. Now, personally, I don't think that really means a whole lot. Polls have always kind of oversampled Democrats and that kind of thing. Trump always outperforms the polls. But she also has taken a lead in a couple of the swing states that Trump does need to win. So Republicans underestimate Kamala Harris at your own peril. And when I say Kamala Harris, I actually mean the media. Right now, Kamala Harris doesn't need to campaign. The media is campaigning for her. That is simply reality. I've mentioned it in other videos. The media is basically the propaganda arm of the Democratic Party. That should upset you. That should scare you as well. Because if one side, only one side, regardless of if it is left or right, if one of them has complete control of the narrative, and the left does not like dissent, as, looked at cancel culture, that should terrify you, because it's only a matter of time before those gun barrels are aimed at you. Okay? And Kamala Harris is the figurehead leader of this movement. She was hired entirely based on her identity. She was hired not because of her achievements, but in spite of her achievements. She was a horrible DA for San Francisco. She was a horrible AG for California. She was a horrible senator for California. She was the most liberal senator at her time of serving in the Senate. So let's take a close look at her last presidential campaign, and then I'm going to get into the media's compliance and completely shielding this woman. So, when she ran for president, she ran on pretty much the left of every issue, be it from Israel-Palestine to her gun policy, which is not simply an assault weapons ban or anything like that. We're talking full-scale gun confiscation with Kamala. We are talking the complete elimination of private health insurance, which, guys, believe me, I've mentioned it before, I used to work for the Affordable Care Act. You do not want the government running your health insurance. If we get Medicare for all or any of this stuff, you're going to be waiting 6 months to see a doctor, and you're going to be paying exorbitantly for the privilege. So that's a non-starter for me right there on its own. She has been in charge of the border policy since Biden took office, regardless of what they're saying. And it's a complete disaster. She has signed on to things like, sanctuary cities, defund the police. She actually bailed out BLM rioters. That is just a disaster area for her as well. And the media is not holding her accountable for any of this. And it is, I would like to say it's shocking, but it's not. But it is infuriating. This is insulting. This is outright insulting at this point. They are blatantly lying to you. 2 months ago, before the debate, they were talking about how unpopular Kamala Harris is should Joe Biden do badly in the debate, which he did. And then they completely shiv him in the back, roll him out the front, wheel him out the front door, bring Kamala in the back. She is now the presumptive nominee. Nobody voted for Kamala for president. I remember when they freaked out over Gerald Ford. This is the party that safeguards democracy by launching a soft coup against the sitting president. But who am I? These are the same people that have weaponized the Justice Department to attack the leading opposition candidate. Kamala Harris was active in the cover-up of Joe Biden's health. It is a disaster area. She is a disaster area. She is nothing more than a puppet for the donor, military-industrial complex, and the media class. She is the perfect puppet. We thought Joe Biden was the perfect puppet because he was a dead person. But no, Kamala is honestly more dangerous because she appears to be alive. Believe me, this woman has never had an original thought in her head. She is going to be a mouthpiece for this radical left wing of the Democratic Party that has pretty much taken it over. You want more, you want moderation. Kamala Harris is not going to give that to you. This is a woman who openly supported the protest that happened a couple of weeks ago when Benjamin Netanyahu came. They were burning American flags, chanting "Death to America" on U.S. soil in the Capitol, vandalizing monuments. Kamala Harris is completely on board with all of this. And the reason I'm making this video is because the media refuses to call her out on any of this. On any of this. They are absolutely sycophantic, groveling at the feet of their new messiah. It is shocking. But I suppose it's not really shocking, because these are the same people that stood in front of a burning building during the BLM protest and told you, oh, it was a mostly peaceful protest, while he's standing in front of a burning building. I'm not going to let that go. That is absolutely horrifying to think that they can control information to that degree. They can blatantly look into the camera and lie to you and think you have no choice but to believe it. And it's really, really scary to think that we're in this shape. You know, I've outlined how we got here in a previous video. The media has been a collaborative arm of the Democratic Party going all the way back to at least the 1960s, probably the 1930s, if you want to go back and look at the coverage they gave FDR and some of the criticism to him. It looks a lot like today, when the criticisms of Joe Biden's health were made. Again, and that's probably the biggest thing. We watched for 4 years as a man, obviously in cognitive decline, ran the country while the media and Kamala Harris blatantly lied about it. Not even getting into her VP pick, who is completely all right with this transitioning children, the shoving chemicals down your kid's throat to permanently castrate and mutilate them because they say they're a girl one day. You know, Timmy says he's Tammy. But, you know, tampons in the boys' bathroom. He completely coddled the BLM riders. And more importantly, he abandoned his National Guard unit when they were about to get deployed to Iraq. Now, this has been a bit of a controversial topic. The man who replaced Tim Walz as the commander of that National Guard unit said he knew he was going to go, and then he resigned. Now, look, he gave 24 years, I believe 24, years of service in the National Guard. I'm not going to rip him for that. I am going to rip on him for lying about it, however. Lying about your service is stolen valor. It's the same as putting on an Army uniform and trying to get a free cup of coffee. It's the same thing. And the media is going to let him completely get away with that. They're going to make excuses for him. And that is pitiful. That is shameful. That they are just... that they are just bending over, grabbing their ankles, and doing this for the Democratic Party. Kamala Harris has completely snubbed them at every opportunity. She ignores them. She walks away from journalists. That is not what we need in a president. Trump certainly has his flaws, but he actually goes and does interviews, goes and talks to Elon Musk and a bunch of these different live streamers, goes to the national black journalists, takes questions there. Kamala will not do that, and that needs to infuriate people, honestly. No one is entitled to the presidency. I remember making, Hillary Clinton thought she was entitled to the presidency. Thomas Dewey thought he was entitled to the presidency. Richard Nixon in 1960 thought he was entitled to the presidency, and they all lost. But here's the thing. America has a propensity for, at the most crucial time, choosing the wrong person. We chose wrong in 1988. We got it right in 92 and 96. We got it wrong in 2000 and 2004. Wrong in 2008 and 2012. We got it right in 2016, and we got it wrong in 2020. In that 30-year time span there, we got it right twice. Twice. Okay? Bush, Obama, Biden, they've all been complete disasters. The only two presidents of the last 30 years that were any good are Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. And right now, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but definitely do not vote for Kamala Harris. This woman is, if for anyone who's heard the Bo Burnham song, Pandering, that is Kamala Harris. She says whatever she needs to fit the audience she's in front of. Nothing about her is real. She is as fake as they get. She even stole one of Trump's policy positions recently, the no tax on tips. The media are going to run cover for her on this. This is absolutely infuriating to see. The media's always had a level of bias. We've always known this. But to see it at this level is really alarming. Because it's really pushing us toward the cliff's edge, it's pushing us toward civil war. Because they refuse to be honest. They're running cover for one party and just absolutely crucifying Republicans over the slightest offense. It is absolutely insane. And they either don't realize or don't care that when you do that, it completely alienates the other half of the country, driving both sides further and further apart. They refuse to acknowledge this. And let me tell you, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, the media, politicians, what they call inside the Beltway, they're completely ignorant of how the world functions outside of their little clique, outside of New York, LA, DC, Chicago, those places. They have no idea how the world actually functions outside of their little bubble. They don't. And I used in one of my videos the example of the 1972 election. George Carlin, the guy that people hold up as the thinking man's comedian and one of the smartest people to ever live. He said 1972 was the year he quit voting because he realized then that the system was rigged. 1972 was the most lopsided election in American history. He thought that the system was rigged because he didn't know a single soul that voted for Richard Nixon inside that media, entertainment, politicians. They all intermingle and they all know each other. No one in that world voted for Richard Nixon in 1972. So they were all completely shocked when Nixon won. Same thing happened in 2016. Same thing happened in 2000. Same thing happened in 2004. You look at all of that and oh God, it's just it is truly it is just truly a shame to see. But I guess that gets us into the Democrats' history of accepting election results. But they just don't. They have no idea how the world works. And there's a quote. Again, I'm going to pull it from the Cross of Gold speech by William Jennings Bryan that said, if you destroy the cities, if you burn down the cities but leave the farms, the cities will spring up again as if by magic. But destroy the farms, and grass will grow in every street in every city of the country. They don't realize that. They think the world revolves around them, that there's some sacred fourth column. And it's completely insufferable to watch. It's like these people are completely out of touch. They have no idea what normal really is. And it's just causing so many problems, man. My advice would be to shut off any sort of mainstream legacy media. You just completely ignore it altogether, be you on the left or the right. Because, see, they're not on either side. They're on the side that gives them the most money. Right now, that's the left. Believe me, if a war breaks out and they start getting a bunch of defense contractor money, they'll be the biggest flag wavers you ever did see. Because the media have no principles, they have no soul, they have no morals. They're completely just, literally the worst people are people in media and people in politics, So, and these are the people that are pushing Kamala Harris, the same people that are celebrating the openly satanic ceremony at the at the opening of the Olympics, the same people that are supporting a genocidal terrorist group that want to commit genocide against the Jews, the same people that want to murder unborn children, and the same people that want to castrate and permanently mutilate children without their parents' knowledge. Tim Walz. These people are who Kamala Harris represents. They're who she speaks for. She's not even trying to be moderate at this point. That is why she has to be stopped. She really does. If she wins, it won't be the last election, but let me tell you, we're going to be in a lot worse shape. And, ask yourself this. Are you better off now or when Trump was in office? You can have your problems with Donald Trump. You can think whatever you want, but ask yourself that question. If the answer to that question is yes, then it's very obvious who you should vote for. But if the answer to that question is, yeah, I was better off under Trump, it seems pretty obvious who you should go with. Now, I'm not going to straight tell you who to vote for, but that's who I'm going with, because Kamala Harris, as I mentioned, she is fake. Everything she touches is a disaster. She is a puppet for the quote-unquote elites. I hate using that word because they're not elites. These people are oligarchs, pretty much. These high-ranking donor class that whole thing. So Kamala Harris, I cannot believe the media just suck at their job this much. That they are just completely groveling at the feet of their new little tin-pot messiah. These people, man, they're just completely soulless. But that's where I'm going to end the video before I start talking in circles. But guys, be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below. What do you think about Kamala not taking any interviews? Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good fun stuff. I've been the Albino Jackass. Thanks for listening to me. Y'all have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.